Okay, good evening, everybody. I think we are ready to start our meeting of the Painesville Township Zoning Commission. Would you like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance? I know it's hard virtually, but we could give it a shot. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United
United
States
States
of
of
America,
America and to the
to the
republic
republic for
for which
which
it
it stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty.
liberty and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Yes.
Great. We'll go ahead with roll call. Rachel?
Okay, Amy,
Here.
Bailey,
Here.
John,
Here.
Daryl.
Here.
All right. We'll call the regular meeting to order. And we'll start by acknowledging the minutes of August 10, 2020. Does anyone have any questions or issues or revisions for those minutes? Well, okay. If not,
I'll move
yeah.
adoption as submitted.
Excellent. And who was that?
Daryl.
Daryl. Thank you, Daryl. And do we have a second?
I'll second. Bailey.
Thank you, Bailey. All right. And I forgot to ask up at the beginning if there was any inquiries from the public other than what we are dealing with on the site plan below. Is anyone out there that had any comments they want to make before we got started? Okay. We have no public hearings.
We need to take a vote on the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rachel, do you want to go ahead and do that?
Okay, for a second I couldn't remember if we did that or not. I'm so sorry.
I made the motion and Bailey seconded.
Yes.
Okay. John,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
okay, Amy,
Yes.
and Daryl.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Number 6, we're going to go with our site plan review for Safe Store. And they're applying for a site plan review application for property located at 1980 Menor Avenue. The request is to develop property with a new 3-story building of 34,525 square feet per floor with utilities, parking, landscaping, and lighting. The proposed use of the building is indoor, climate-controlled self-storage. Township trustees issued a similar use declaration. A conditional use permit was granted by the BZA. A variance for building height was granted by the BZA, and the term of conditional use permit was amended to 20 years by the granting of a variance by BZA. Rich, do you have any additional information that you'd like to provide the commission?
The only thing I can share with the committee is that everything I have seen in the site plan submitted by Safe Store complies with our zoning regulations. What hasn't complied is already covered by conditional use permits and variances. The only thing missing, in my estimation, is the photometric lighting plan for the property. And I would only ask that the zoning commission, if they are prepared to give an approval to this project, include a condition in that approval that the applicant at the time of submission of the actual zoning permit to proceed with construction present a outdoor lighting photometric plan which complies with our regulations as per the zoning inspector's inspection.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone from the commission have any questions for Rich?
The answer to one I was was the outside lighting. I
Okay.
went over the plans, and that's the only thing I found missing too. Everything else looked pretty good to me.
Great.
One of the pictures actually does show some outside lighting on the building itself, but, or it appears to be lighting, but
Okay.
I am personally, this is Rich again. I'm personally not anticipating any major problem, but we need the photometric plan to make sure that we're not going to be creating some kind of a light nuisance for adjoining properties.
Sure. Is anyone joining us tonight from Safe Store that would like to add anything to this discussion?
Yes, this is Philip Argo. I'm with W&A Engineering. We are Safe Store's engineer for all of their projects. And with regards to the lighting plan, we can provide a photometric plan fairly quickly. And we'll be happy to do so with our resubmittal on the project. And we will have no problems complying with the township's lighting ordinance or their requirements. All of the lighting will be primarily on the building. We don't intend to provide any light poles around the site. We like to keep lighting to a minimal. To provide for safety at the entrances to the building, and reduce lighting on the backside and the sides facing the residential areas and the other properties. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Rich, have all of the adjacent property owners been notified of this? And if so, have any of them asked any questions or responded back?
Of the site plan review, John, site plan reviews are not a public hearing. Site plan reviews do not require a public hearing. Therefore, adjacent properties and their owners are not notified of the site plan review. However, since we have already gone through the conditional use permit with the Board of Zoning Appeals and a variance hearing, adjacent property owners have been invited to participate and make their comments. Originally, because the trustees, this whole thing came about because a similar use declaration was petitioned by the applicant to the township trustees. The trustees have a habit of wanting to notify adjacent property owners when they are asked to consider declaring a use to be a similar use. And during that similar use process, we did. And then again, during the conditional use process and the variance process, we did receive some items of concern by adjacent property owners. And those have been totally addressed by the plans that are in front of us at this time as for the site plan review.
This is Daryl. I did have one more question. At the back of the property, the plans show an 18-inch, looks like storm sewer goes to the property about the position where you have the retention basin or detention basin. Is that above that It didn't show anything on the grading plans where that storm sewer was. I knew there was one in there because we processed a subdivision some years ago behind it. And they had to show 300 feet each side of the subdivision what was going on. And that goes through that subdivision over to the Barton ditch, I think it is.
And Matt, I think that's a question for you. I think.
Yeah, this is Matt Davis. I'm the engineer. Working with, we are CEC. We're working with W&A, with Philip on this project. And regarding that line that cuts through our site, it would cut through the basin, and we are proposing to reroute it around the basin.
Okay.
So we're going to cut it off as it when it gets into the site. We're going to take it into a manhole, and we're going to reroute it around the basin so there's no conflict.
Okay. I was just, I didn't know how deep that thing was. As I remembered, it wasn't real deep, but it's been
No, it's not very deep at all.
Yeah, it's been several years since we processed that subdivision, so trying to remember some of that stuff, a little difficult.
Yeah, I think it's about 3 to 4 foot deep. It's relatively shallow, but we are proposing to reroute it around the basin.
Okay.
So I noticed that some of those drawings had unknown pipelines or something underground that apparently was not determined what they were for. Do you know anything more about that?
We do not, other than they came back as unknown. I assume they were utilities that were part of the previous development on this site. I believe this was some type of car sales lot or whatnot.
Yes.
From the information we have, those utilities do not connect to anything anymore. They were just kind of abandoned underground. So there shouldn't be an issue with leaving them in place or removing them as needed.
Okay.
No gas wells on the property, is there?
Did anyone have any additional questions?
I'm sorry, I think there was a question about a gas line.
I asked if anybody had checked if there was any gas wells on the property. A lot of times they're not closed off right and that sort of thing, but they're often forgotten about also. But there's a lot of gas wells in this area. And probably a lot of people don't even know that they're on their property, but there's a lot of gas wells. I just wondered if anybody bothered checking it or not.
I don't believe any showed up on our survey, and considering the previous use, the auto dealership, I don't believe there are any.
Okay.
Okay. Anything further from the group? From anyone? Okay. Well, then at this point, we can make the determination to approve the site plan with the condition to provide our zoning department with the outdoor photometric lighting plan, or not approve the site plan.
I will make a motion to approve the site plan with the lighting plan provided.
Thank you, John. Do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Daryl.
Thank you, Daryl.
Mhm.
Okay, Daryl,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Site plan approved. Thank you, everyone. And now we can move down to new business.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
You're
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night, guys.
Number 7, we have a proposed text amendment to sections 12 and 22. The amendments propose to add indoor climate-controlled self-storage facility in the B1 zoning district as a conditional use in table of uses contained in section 22.02E. Add new subsections 12.02U and 12.05U for indoor climate-controlled self-storage facility and re-letter thereafter. Rich, would you like to bring us up to speed on this one?
Madam Chairman, yes, yes, I would.
Oh, official.
This proposed text amendment came from originally the Lake County Planning Commission when we submitted the site plan review application to them for comments.
Okay.
And Dave Radacci believed it was in our best interest, instead of doing this the way it was done by similar use, that we actually permit this particular use in the B1 zoning district as a conditional use. After hearing Dave's comments, I thought this over, and I personally believe he's right on the money. For this same site, like a year or 2 years ago, we were entertaining an application to build a assisted living facility on this same site, which was not at that time a permitted use. We went the similar use process, and the same thing happened. The Planning Commission recommended that we make this a permitted use under conditional use permit in this zoning district. And the trustees, hearing this suggestion, agreed, and they endorse it, and they would like this to happen. So I would appreciate the zoning commission considering setting this matter for a public hearing at the next meeting, which would be scheduled for, I think, October. God.
October 12th?
No, October 12th? Could be.
Yep, that's what it is.
I can't see my calendar from where I'm at.
Yeah, it's October 12th.
Okay.
Okay. Does the commission have any questions on the text amendment for Rich?
No, it's pretty straightforward,
Yep.
what I can see.
All right, so we would need to go ahead then and make a motion to set a public hearing for case 20ZC05 for the October 12th meeting.
I'll make the motion to set the case for the October 12th meeting.
We have a second. John's a second. Thank you, John.
Okay. Bailey,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Daryl,
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. And it looks like we have another proposed text amendments to section 25 and 5. The proposed changes are to add new categories of permitted uses as subsection 25.01K and to amend the definition of home occupation in section 5. Rich, do you have information for us on that?
Oh, yes. Yes. My friends, I think it is time that we recognize there are certain businesses which are basically industrial businesses that currently have no home in our zoning resolution. And those businesses would be landscape contractors, yard maintenance contractors, tree service contractors, general contractors, paving contractors, and excavating contractors. Their uses would be as a general headquarters, offices, employee parking, equipment, material, and supplies storage. The okay of these particular uses in the I-1 zoning district would also make them permissible by our code in the I-2 zoning district. And they would require an expansion of the definition of a home occupation in the R1, R2, possibly R3 zoning districts, which would eliminate those kinds of activities from being conducted on R1, R2, R3 properties, which employ more than one employee besides the sole proprietor, and which require the parking of multiple commercial rated vehicles on the property, plus any equipment being stored outside. So I think Painesville Township has been lagging a little bit behind the curve in providing some kind of a zoning district where these kinds of contractors should be regularly permitted, and giving an opportunity for them to get regularly permitted in a district away from a residential district where many of them think they can do whatever they want. So at that, I'm going to leave it in your hands to ask questions, make comments, whatever you wish to do.
Would the best place for them to be operating out of be an industrial area, or if we said they can't do it, and I agree that there probably are some residential areas that have a lot of vehicles at night because of that. But where the only question that came up on this storage thing, that I talked to a local businessman, he wondered why we have to put a business in an area where there's high traffic, and instead of trying, I mean, we're looking for anything to fill the vacancy and for taxes and for that type of thing, but he wondered why we would have to put a storage area on a high travel area like Route 20. So then you start questioning sometimes, you know, are these little businessmen really able to buy property or rent property where they're going to store that at night? Or I'm not sure where they're doing it at now, but I do know you're right in saying that there are some that have a lot of equipment and they do it in their front yard and everything else. So I agree with that we should probably look at that area and see what we can do.
John, I'm a little bit confused as to what the gentleman you were talking to was trying to say.
He asked, I asked, or they asked me what was going in there or what was being talked about. And I told them, they said, well, why would they put a business like that when they could put that out in the country someplace? People drive to the storage areas. They don't need to be right on a main traveled road that might help to attract some other better businesses next to it and that. But the building looks nice and everything like that. I'm not sure if it could ever be converted, but obviously these storage areas are all making money and they're all filled up, I think. So maybe it's a good idea. But I just wondered where, like, the person was only questioning, couldn't there be a better use for that property?
Which property?
The one that we approved for the self-storage.
Oh,
obviously been empty for a few years.
Well, here's the thing. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So, is there a potential better use? the too many factors enter into that. The economy, trends in our society's movement going forward, our comprehensive plan, what we think we see developing. There is possibly a potential better use, but we don't know that. Our question for the property that was just considered for a site plan review, their right to develop the property has pretty much been established by the similar use decree by the trustees, by the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and their site plan pretty well conforms to what we expect. And I think, just as a private sharing, that what has gone into that whole process is the fact that we will have a building on a property which has been vacant for many, many years now, which will be attractive, which will conform to many of the aspects of the Western Reserve architectural style that we are striving to achieve on the commercial corridor on Menor Avenue. And that building, if the business plan happens to fail, the building will be, I believe, able to be modified to a different business use without too much to do. So it's hard to call. You know, when we make these decisions, we make the decisions that seem right and reasonable and allow property owners to use their property to the best of their ability, as long as they don't cause a general nuisance, disturbance, or an outright I don't know, violation of the intentions of the township. So we already did the site plan review. So I'm not sure that it's fair to bring that case back up right now in the question of what we're proposing to do for landscape contractors, general contractors, paving contractors, tree service contractors, yard maintenance contractors, paving contractors, who really already exist in our township. Some of them probably legally, maybe a couple of them not legally, but that kind of an industry, I believe, it's only my personal belief, belongs in the I-1 zoning district, which also makes it acceptable by our zoning code in the I-2 zoning district. So that's what this text amendment is all about. We have right now too many landscape contractors operating major landscaping contractor operations on residential property, and we have to serve notice. There is a place for you in Painesville Township. It's called the I-1 Light Industrial Zoning District. And if you have more than one employee and more than one commercial vehicle, you better move your operation off of your residential property and into the proper place in this township. Okay. I'm done.
Thanks, Rich. Does anyone have any additional questions for Rich? Now, Rich, is this something that you would like us to move to a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Commission members, are you comfortable with and you want more time to review this, or are we thinking we're ready?
Can I make one more comment?
Sure.
Because one of the components of this text amendment involves Section 5 definitions, and because we are going to be discussing a proposed text amendment from Harley, which also proposes some changes to Section 5, my suggestion is that we temporarily table a decision on this until until you make a decision on how you want to handle Harley's proposed text definitions or amendments, even though those have not been assigned a case number, because I am thinking, because of the length and breadth of Section 5, if we're considering 2 text amendments to Section 5, it would make sense to try to time their effectiveness to being the same time.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I was thinking as you were talking there on the definitions, we talk about say two employees, or if they have more than one vehicle or whatever. What right in our law can we question? Are they actual contractors? Are they paying their income tax? Do they have a license to operate, or do we ever have any power to check those or not? So,
Well,
somebody could be operating out of their home and say, well, it's just, I don't do any business there. I just park there at night. But are they actual legal, and do they really have a legal business going?
That's a real good question, John. I mean, I can declare myself to be a business as a landscape contractor and come up with a fake name, like our RLC Enterprises, and go and do up to $600 a year in gross income business on the books, and not have to file taxes on that or include it in income. Listen, it's a very complicated thing how to regulate self-employed income emanating from residential property. The problem is we do have the right to regulate what kinds of equipment, how much activity, how much neighborhood interference goes on because of somebody's decision to operate a business on their residential property. And what we are trying to do is to discourage residential neighborhoods from being subject to nuisance due to business activities that should not be going on residential properties, in the opinion of the majority of our citizens. So if we are going to be a zoning commission which is trying to regulate uses of property and avoid nuisances and neighbor complaints and, stuff that absorbs a lot of zoning staff's time trying to resolve neighborly disputes. Um, this is something that's being proposed for us to consider, which will alleviate some of the confusion over the definition of what's a business on a residential property, what should be allowed, what shouldn't be allowed. Um, if somebody's like a sole guy and he's got one helper and he's got one piece of equipment, do we want to deny him the privilege of being a hard worker and going out and trying to make a buck? Maybe, maybe not. But if somebody wants to have two 2-ton or 3-ton commercial vehicles, a chipper shredder on his property, a backhoe on his property, and hide everything behind his detached garage, which he illegally expanded, do we want to tolerate that? I mean, how is that fair to his next door neighbors? So that is the question. How do we answer that?
Rich, sorry to, I guess, take a step back. With the proposal that you have for section 25, what would we have to change? What do you suggest that we need to change in section 5 as well?
Only the definition of home occupation.
Okay.
Originally, I didn't know this until earlier today, but when I originally sent you this text amendment, somehow I did not include page 2 of section 25, which kind of like added a little bit of extra caution to how somebody could operate these businesses within the I-1 district. But in section 5, which defines the home occupation, the language that I proposed is that such accessory uses shall not include self-employed contractors such as landscaping contractors, yard maintenance contractors, excavating contractors, general contractors, or any business which owns vehicles over 2 net ton capacity, multiple commercial vehicles, and employs more than one other person on a full or part-time basis. So what I'm striving to eliminate is somebody turning their residential property into a base of operations where they have 3, 4, 5 employees who come in the morning, they start their equipment, they start their chainsaws, they start their grass trimmers, they start their lawnmowers, make sure everything is working when they pull out. Then they all pull out in a procession and go out to their customers' places. And at some point during the day, they straggle back in, park their commercial vehicles back on the property, get in their personal cars, and go home. That is not supposed to happen, I don't believe, on a residential property. If you believe that, that's okay. But that's what we're all about. We have to test these theories. We have to challenge each other to say, is this a legitimate use that we want to permit here? Is this a legitimate use that we want to permit there?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. for the record, I'm not sure that, I guess just looking at the home occupation definition, it already says, you know, about it already addresses the employees and a lot of what you're saying. I guess my question is, do we really have to change section 5, or we just move forward with that one now and keep it the same? Just section 5 already says, you know, shall not employ more than one person who is not a member of the immediate family, and that would probably address most of that anyway.
Jeremy, Jason, do you want to weigh in on that?
I guess I could be wrong. That's how I read it. So.
Where's the section 5 where that already is, Bailey? What you're talking about?
5.81 home occupation.
That's already there, but the limitation to one commercial vehicle or no commercial vehicles is a different issue, I think.
Well, I think it certainly makes it more clear that it would apply to those types of contractors and their employees. I think I might be missing a page in mine.
Yeah, Rich, I'm good either way. I don't want to derail the whole thing based on whether we need to update this or not. I think what we kind of all seem to be saying is that we need to review it a little longer.
Yeah, so this is Harley. I just wanted to chime in really quick. I think Rich is absolutely correct based on the types of complaints that we get in the zoning office, that we need some stronger verbiage. It's more cut that we can sort of hang our hats on when addressing complaints about commercial activities out of a residential property. At the same time, I also agree with Bailey. I think there might be, I understand your reasoning, Rich, behind the way that you are trying to address the problem, but I think we might be able to do it a little bit more efficiently. I think limiting ourselves to specific types of contractors, singling out specific type of contractors might not be the best way to do it, but trying to regulate impact in another way with different language might be a better solution that could be addressed, that could be utilized to address different types of complaints for different types of in-home occupations that are taking place as well. I think it's a great idea. We really need a better language to address these sorts of violations, because at the moment we quote unquote permit these sorts of uses with the loophole of, well, as long as the commercial equipment is stored indoors, it's okay. But at the same time, that equipment needs to come out, and that equipment emits odors and noise that does disrupt the residential nature of a neighborhood. So I completely support Rich in saying that we need some stronger language just based on working in the zoning office and addressing complaints. That's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me chime back in. Harley, thank you, dear. Uh, However, I did not exclude every landscape contractor, yard maintenance contractor, tree contractor, general contractor, paving contractor, excavating contractor. I only excluded those who park more than one commercial vehicle on their property and have more than one outside employee. Uh, That is the important exclusion. We're trying to allow somebody to use their property if they want to be a self-employed businessman and have one helper who could be a family member, um, go with them on jobs. I personally don't want to discourage that, but the guys that have multiple pieces of commercial equipment and park them on their residential property and have employees coming every morning and parking their cars, starting their equipment, make sure it's working, revving it up and all that kind of good, happy horse crap, and then leaving for their jobs, and then coming back at night and then cleaning their equipment, whatever their modus operandi is, it doesn't belong on a residential property. That's all I'm trying to say. That
Yeah,
kind of
Rich.
activity has to be stopped on a residential property.
Yep, I agree. I was looking at if you could just set. I think that I would make a motion to, if we need a motion, but extend this till the next meeting so we have time to review the language in section 5.
Okay. Thank you, Bailey. Thank you, Harley, and thank you, Rich. That is a lot of information to go over and consider. Do any of the other commission members have any further comments on where you think we should head?
Well, Bailey has a motion to table. I'll second it for him.
Okay.
What's that?
Somebody's got a train.
Yeah.
Yes, train.
Who's by the train tracks?
Oh, that's sorry, guys.
That's you, Bailey?
No, it's Harley's.
I think it was Harley.
I mean, Harley, I'm sorry, Bailey. I'm said it wrong. I'm looking at Harley's picture and I'm saying your name.
Rachel, do you need to go through and do the?
I think
We had a
so.
second on the motion from Daryl.
I think
Yeah,
you're good.
I just did something to my camera. I don't know what I did. I can't see everybody anymore.
We
We can see you.
I can see you.
Did you possibly select a pin on an individual person? Move your mouse around
Yes,
the
I
screen.
did, Sean.
Yep, there you go. If you press the pin again on the screen, it'll bring us all back.
Okay, there we go. I don't know what I did. Okay, sorry. Okay, so Bailey motioned to table, and then Daryl seconded the motion. Then, okay. Okay. John.
Yes.
Okay, Bailey,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
and Daryl.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Moving along, we're in the old business section here. We have section 6.13 fences. Harley, would you like to, I believe this was information that you sent us?
Yes, I would. So I finally got something out to you guys. It isn't perfect by any means. I have a little bit of an issue with 5 1.91 specifically, because we are regulating within the definition without referencing it elsewhere in the code, specifically the verbiage within such triangular area, no tree, fence, shrub, or other physical obstruction higher than 36 inches above the established curb grade shall be permitted. I left it in, however, there are several resolutions in different communities that I looked at to generate the language. And this was in one of them, the inclusion of the tree fence, well, the tree shrub physical obstruction. As of right now, our zoning code does not address line of sight safety at all. We do have our road department, however, who addresses that with a different measuring method, and we can continue to utilize them. There have just been instances where I have had complaints about visibility that the road department had determined was not in violation with the safety triangle utilized by ODOT. So I thought this might be a nice way to be able to address concerns that, you know, pulling out of a driveway, I have difficulty seeing, but it doesn't otherwise violate a measurable regulation. So that was just, that's for you guys to consider. We can omit it if you so desire. Something else within this is the measurement of 30 feet. Through all of the examples I looked at, the measurements ranged anywhere between 15 to, I believe it was about 45 feet. And there might have been at least one that exceeded that 45-foot measurement. And so I threw in 30 as like a happy medium. It's not overly lax and possibly not helping. But again, that's something for you all to consider.
Okay.
But otherwise, I think that's about it. And I did a little bit of editing within section 5 just in regards to placement. Our definitions are organized alphabetically, and I noticed a couple of them got a little swapped around. And so I just corrected that while I was in there.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Harley, or would we like to just take some time until our next meeting and kind of review the fences section a little further?
I think that it looks like we need to probably review it a little bit more, since we're saying there's some wording that she's not really happy with either. So maybe,
Yeah, give her some time to look at it and
Yes.
make a comment. I read it over and I didn't have too much of a problem with what she had written, but I wouldn't mind taking a second look at it.
Okay, I agree, Daryl.
Yeah, just to reiterate, so the language itself as written, I personally am happy with the language. There's just a couple of things that I thought you guys either might wanted to change. The 30-foot measurement is one of them, and the other is regulating not just fences, but also trees, shrubs, so vegetation, lawn ornamentation, as well as fences. And as of right now, it does not mention the trees or the shrubs in any other section of our zoning code. And so with this, we would solely be regulating from our definitions, which isn't great practice. It's not the best method. main reason being is in the future, if anyone is looking for reference to see if we have any regulations, they won't know to find it in our definitions section. So it's definitely not ideal. Placement is something that I will need to work on if the commission so chooses that they would like to move forward with including in our regulations this sort of, sorry, the word escapes me, but let this day end. What is the word?
Hey, Harley,
Yes, sir.
just tell us what you want to prohibit in the plainest words possible.
Yeah. Well, so what I want to do is I want to extend the opportunity to our residents who own corner lots to get more use out of their backyard, allowing them to erect 6-foot fences, enclosing more of their backyard, at the same time ensuring that we are addressing any possible concerns in regards to traffic and visibility.
Okay, that's kind of simple, not totally simple, but we can come up with something.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we'll move forward. We'll have you guys take a look at that a little further. We'll take a look at it a little further and go from there for the next meeting, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, did the commission vote to do that?
Or do we need to take a vote?
If you're going to table something, then you should.
All right.
Otherwise, you either need to table it or take some kind of action.
Okay, so we'll need to make a motion to table section 6.13 till the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Daryl and John.
Okay, Bailey,
Yes.
Daryl,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
and John.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. 28 in old business.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Do you really want to talk about this? So listen, all I can do is tell you, I tried to put together a major rewrite for this section. It is not easy to do that, especially since we are moving into a new software situation in the township, which is a little bit more demanding than I anticipated. Oh God. Pardon me while I hang up on a unwanted caller. Anyhow, the this is a very, very complicated section. I know that we're not going to come to any decision tonight, and it may be a few months, guys. But if anybody has any comments or anybody that they have noticed that they have problems with, please point them out now, and I will go to work on them and try to either change them, explain them, whatever. So it's open to the zoning commission. Let me have what you've got.
Oh, section what again? 28?
28.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah, this has to do with signs, guys.
Oh, that's a tricky subject.
Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yeah. That's why it's taken me so long.
Yeah. Yeah, this one I think is going to take a little more time than just tonight. Because if you're going to do a total rewrite,
well,
we need to take this thing.
Listen, this is a total rewrite.
Okay.
It was sent to you guys. If you haven't been able to assimilate enough of the details to be able to comment, just please table this till the next meeting.
Okay.
It sounds like we need to table that, so I'll make a motion to table that until the next meeting.
Thank you, John. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Billy.
Okay, John,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Daryl,
Yes.
and Bailey.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, number 9, address the dispensation. Any public hearings this evening? We don't have any items being hearing. Zoning inspector's report. Do you have anything additional that wasn't enough for you this evening?
Oh, I think I had enough, Rachel. Thank you.
Okay. No zoning inspector's report. Any further business to come before the commission? All right, then we'll make a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting date is Monday, October 12th. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Bailey. Thank you, Daryl. All right, our September meeting is in the books. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, guys. Good meeting.
I can't wait for Ted to come back.
Well, you did a very good job of running the
Good
meeting.
job, Amy.
Yes, good job.
Yes, very, very good job.
Thanks,
Didn't know it better
everybody.
say you're a pro.
Everybody have a great night and a great week.
You too.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
You too.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Night.